Alright, what is up, guys? Loser Manic here, and I'm recording this immediately after my video about the elusive man and controlling people. Can you imagine if I uploaded this video first? Um, yeah, and today I want to talk about my Renegade playthrough because I finished my Renegade playthrough and I want to talk about it because I have some interesting stuff. Let me up my brightness real quick because I need comfortability. So yeah. So if some of you guys don't know, in Mass Effect there are two different moralities. There's Paragon and Renegade. I usually go the Paragon route because I just hate the idea of like you're mean to me, so I'll be mean to you back. And if you're mean to someone in Mass Effect, they're generally mean to you back. So but this time around, I figured I'd suck it up and deal with it because I plan on randomizing the game, but I might hold off on that just because I kind of jumped the gun too quickly and I didn't do a Renegade playthrough first before I randomized the whole game, so I'm just in my whatever. Even though I'm not in the mood to play that, to play anything, to do anything, because I have an interview tomorrow and I didn't have enough time to prepare, so I'm in a bit of an anxiety haze, but whatever. What was I getting at? Right, my Renegade playthrough. So if you guys recall, I made like a previous video talking about like my experiences so far. I was halfway into I think I was halfway into Mass Effect 2 or halfway into Mass Effect 3, but now that I finished the entire game, I can talk the entire trilogy as a Renegade the first time. I can talk about what I think about Renegade and where I messed up, because I did mess up a few. And I'll explain. There isn't like a way to mess up a bit per se, I don't think, but you'll understand what I'm talking about. So first, this was a lot surprising than I thought it was. I really enjoyed it because the thing is with games like these, like you pick a dialogue and then your character says them. The dialogue options are usually shortened because there's only so much you can fit at a time. So, when it comes to Renegade, and in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. So, if you're talking to a character in a game, and there's an option to tell them to shut up, and that's something you want to do, the thing will say, like, shut up, but it would always be, like, more aggressive than it is. So, you select shut up, and your character says, shut the fuck up, you fucking whore, before I beat you into the ground, like that sort of thing. Like that's generally like what happens. So I figured that would have been the case, you know. And so I thought that's how it would have been with Mass Effect, but no. That's the general idea. Like that's the general way you're saying it, but you don't say that exact thing, nor does it get worse. Because the entire time, because for the most part, if you look at the like dialogue options for Renegade, hold on. I had something in my mouth. Generally, like if you look at the Renegade options, it's usually disregarding feelings. But if you select those, it's disregarding feelings, but not to the extent that it looks like. Like for example, if you do Tally's loyalty mission in Mass Effect 2, she learns that like her father was involved in something and whatnot. And she learns later that her father died. And if you don't support her, which I did, that's the problem. Is I think generally that's where I messed up, but I'll talk about it later. But like you can disregard if you support her or don't. It doesn't really matter. And can support her as in like hug her and whatnot. If you do the Paragon interrupt, then you can hug her, but I did that because I'm not that heartless. But let's say you don't. The dialogue options are the same whether you do or not. You can sort of like disregard her feelings and whatnot. That's what it looks like. But in actuality, it's just like Shepard being confronting and sort of like bypass the situation, kind of make the situation less awkward and whatnot. So the whole time I was like, oh, I have to disregard Tally's feelings, and I selected it, and I was like, oh, nah, that's not that bad, you know. Now I kind of understand why everyone likes Renegade. Even though I prefer Paragon myself because it's a lot easier for me to deal with, but also there are a lot of better options. I know a lot of people would be like, there are no good options in Paragon. I disagree because think of like Project Overlord, where even though you don't really get Paragon or Renegade points off that DLC, which I learned very quickly because I didn't, just because I used the morality guide. And I'll get to that in a moment. So, whenever it came to, well, let me slow down here. Let me back up. Let me start with Mass Effect 1. So, Mass Effect 1 was where my Paragon and Renegade really became unofficial. Meaning that, like, while I was going for Renegade, I ended up getting a lot more Paragon points than I had planned. Because this is what separate. This is why I like Mass Effect 2 onward in terms of morality, because in the first game there isn't consistency with it. What I mean by that is, if you select, there's more to the Paragon and Renegade stuff for like Mass Effect 2 and 3 than it is for 1, because in Mass Effect 2, any sort of dialogue options could be on there. Whether it's talking to Miranda or Jacob for the first time on the Normandy, I think you get some Paragon or Renegade just by using the certain options and whatnot. But in Mass Effect 1, there's barely any, like, to go around. So that means you need to do, like, all these random ass missions. Plus, not to mention the fact that, they're tough to, aside from the fact that they are tough to find, there are certain things that you don't want to do that you would have to do. Like, for example, if you want to completely avoid Paragon options, then you need to wipe out everyone on Pharos, all the colonists, and kill Shiala. Now, is that something you'd really want to do? Actually, I have thought about doing that. So never mind. But let's say you're like a Paragon like me. Would that be something you're willing to do? Now, there was one thing that I kept doing as a Paragon that I didn't think about, that it didn't really occur to me until I was doing Renegade, and it is that sacrificing the council is Renegade. That didn't occur to me until later, and by that point, it was already too late because I didn't have the right amount of charm to, or I guess intimidate, to convince Saren to stand down. There was none of that. I had none of that. So when it came to fighting Saren for the first time, I actually had to fight him, not the, Geth version or the indoctrinated version of himself. Like, that was, like, actually me fighting Saren for the first time. It was awkward. Awkward in the sense of, like, I'm used to, granted, the first time I beat the game, in my defense, I didn't, convince Saren to stand down because I didn't know that was an option until, like, much later, nor did I have enough charm to do so. But now that I know that that it's the same as always, I should have figured as much. Now I could go back. Now, this is where, Mass Effect 1 was where problems came in for me, because I didn't realize that there was a morality guide to help you out. Just in case you don't know how different systems work, or what dialogue options classify for Renegade or Paragon. That would have been a lot useful, because during the conversation between Shepard, Nihilus, and Anderson, I kept using Renegade, and it was always like, I don't want him following me, and it was like, this isn't about you. I'm like, I see where this is gonna go. So yeah, so if I had known sooner that there was a morality guide, this wouldn't have been a problem. You know what I learned about the morality guide? Halfway through Mass Effect 2. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned in the previous video about my Renegade playthrough, but after I made that video, I started playing Mass Effect, or kind of pick up where I left off. And that's when I ended up using the morality guide, which helped pretty well. Now, there are a few things that did mess me up. Kind of not in Mass Effect 1, but more like Mass Effect 2. Um, and I'll talk about those now. So, now with my first experience, and I do have a couple of issues with the whole morality system, which I'll talk about in a moment. Once I get to like Mass Effect 3, that's when my problems really kicked in. So there were a few things that I guess kind of ruined the whole Renegade experience, because to me the full Renegade experience is having your face all mangled and having glowing eyeballs, which I did have by the end of Mass Effect 2. My eyes were Terminator-like and whatnot, but there were some. But in Mass Effect 3, I finished the game. I didn't have the glowing eyes, which doesn't seem like a big of an issue for some, but for me, I wanted that because that's the only reason why I'm a renegade in the first place. If you didn't have the messed up face, I probably wouldn't do Renegade just because what's the point, you know? So yeah, so the first thing was Samara as a whole. What I mean by that is, I hired Samara, and then I did her loyalty mission. Now, if you do her loyalty mission, depending on who you save, which is possible, if you guys don't know, you can actually kill Samara in her own loyalty mission. She's one of 2 people who can die in her own loyalty mission, but she's the only one that can die before the suicide mission of her own loyalty mission. The second person that can die in their own loyalty mission is Zaid, but it has to be after the suicide mission. Did I say they can die during their own suicide mission? They can die during their own loyalty mission. The second one being Zaid after the suicide mission. I told you that already. Alright. So, and the thing was I wasn't really comfortable with Renegade, so I should have looked forward into the morality guide, because I was using the morality guide at that point. By the time I was talking with Samara, by the time I hired Samara. So I should have looked ahead, and I saw that if you save Samara, or if you just complete a loyalty mission regularly without having to choose between either Morinth or Samara, then you get Paragon points. But if you sacrifice Samara and save Morinth, then you get Renegade points. Now, I'll have to not hire Samara until I'm comfortable, which means I have to deal with Miranda saying, "This team isn't complete. I don't care. I know what I'm doing," that sort of thing. And Samara affected me hugely in Mass Effect 3 because I wasn't comfortable killing her daughter at that point. During Mass Effect 3, if you do the Ardite Yakshi Monastery, and Samara is alive, then she will kill herself if you don't do the Paragon Interrupt, which means you have a chance to kill her daughter Falaire, which if you do is a bit of a very awkward thing, especially if Liara is there with you, because she won't confront you, but if you talk to her, she'll be like, "Was it really necessary to kill her daughter? I know we have a mission, but she said herself that she's fine." But whatever. Moving on. Another one that kind of affected me was Tally's loyalty mission, because I'm not an asshole and I wanted to comfort her during her sad moment of learning her father died and whatnot. I will say, though, speaking of loyalty missions, holy hell, Jacob's loyalty mission, if you do Renegade, the entire Renegade thing, holy shit, that was dark. If you guys don't know what the Renegade ending is, I'll let you Google research it, just because I'm terrible at explaining things. But if you know exactly what I'm talking about, holy shit, that was intense. It was very depressing and messed up, but there's only so much one can do, Yeah, some other ones was being nice to Kelly Chambers. That's pretty much it. Nothing really bothered me a whole lot. The only one that kind of really threw me in for a daze was Zaid's loyalty mission, because I got so used to doing Paragon, even though I think the first few times that I did Zaid's loyalty mission as a Paragon, I just did the Renegade because I didn't trust myself enough to I didn't trust myself enough to what was it? Um, pass the speech check. But after a while, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. If he's not happy, so be it. I'll just let it go. And then from that point on, I just played. I just did a Paragon ending, and then the one time I do Renegade, the one Renegade route, I do his ending. Another one that kind of, it wasn't like I messed up, but it kind of terrified me, was the confrontation between Jack and Miranda. That one was by far the one where, because at some point, because you do get like a boost to your Paragon or Renegade, depending on which route you go with Jack's loyalty mission, more than Miranda's loyalty mission. There are some, but again, disregarded feelings. I don't like disregarding mostly Miranda's feelings, but whatever, you know. Thankfully, though, I did not make Miranda see her sister, so I kept in control of that one. Maybe once I get comfortable with Renegade and I can somehow manage being like in Mass Effect 3, I get like the glowing eyes that I want. Because who doesn't want to look like the Terminator, right? That is, yeah, that is the Terminator that I'm thinking of. And yeah, so but because I do Miranda's loyalty mission first, just because I like hers a lot better. Plus, I romance her a lot, so I know some people say to like space it out until like after the confrontation, but I have a shitty memory, so I wouldn't tell you if I already romanced her, if I haven't started the romance, if I'm in the middle of it, whatever the case. So that's why I just get out the way early. And yeah, so there's that. But after I did Jack's loyalty mission, I was able to shut them both up, threaten both of them, make them both loyal at the end. Even though I did watch the like all the different outcomes of that, so I did watch what happens if you side with Miranda. It's not that bad, but I'm not gonna do it just because Miranda is sacred to me. I don't know. I don't know. I just like siding against Jack because I don't like her anyways. Yeah. Other than that, there weren't that many issues. I think my biggest issue was I saw like a big amount of like Renegades, so I would try and like go for the Paragon to get to the Renegade, because there was like 19 Renegade amongst like a big pile of Paragon. So even though I didn't end with more Paragon, I would usually use dialogue options that would get me like 2 Paragon per just for the 19 Renegade. So I would like end the mission with like 10 Paragon and 19 Renegade. What I should have done was it occurred to me later that if I have a choice between getting, well, first of all, if you have a chance to get a 15 Renegade, then that usually shows up later, so there's really no need to go through all the Paragons just to get to the Renegade that's there. But if that is the case where I have a choice between getting 19 Renegade and some Paragon or 0 Paragon and 2 Renegade, I figured getting the 2 Renegade would have been a lot easier because I do that with Paragon anyways. If I have a choice between getting a bunch of Paragons in the middle of a Renegade or 2 Paragons, I'm just going to get 2 Paragons, 2 Paragon points. Another thing I did that sort of messed me up was I destroyed the collector base, which is something you're not supposed to do if you're a Renegade. I didn't know that, or I did, I just didn't care, because why would you give him that base, Especially since you can convince you can't convince her, but like you can convince Miranda that what the Elusiman is doing is wrong on so many levels. So it just seems weird to just like let her understand that like what the Elusiman is doing is wrong, and yet you do the exact thing that he wants you to do. So yeah, if I go full Renegade, I'm gonna have to make it up by going full Paragon, meaning kill absolutely no one, get and try and end with 0 Renegade, which is possible for me at least. There was one time I didn't really care about getting Paragon, and that was Tally's mission in Mass Effect 1. Just because, like, you get, like, one Paragon point. That's it. Just one. It doesn't really matter. You just get, like, one. Which, coming from a guy who said that he would rather get, like, well, yeah, that's within the whole idea of getting more Renegade than Paragon. That's about the only time I only care about getting more Paragon than Renegade, because it's just one. Not one bar, just one single point. I don't know why. It should be worth more, because in fact you're helping an alien, and you get Renegade, and you get one Renegade point just by telling Tally no. And yeah, so there's that. Other than that, there isn't really much else that kind of affected me. Curing the genophage. That one messed me up. Because I wasn't really sure on my plan exactly for the genophage. I kept Rex alive, and I wasn't sure if I wanted that confrontation and after the Citadel 3. Looking back, maybe I might. I'm not sure. I'll have to see if that's something I want. But at that time, it was already too late, and I was like, might as well cure the genophage. So I did. Which means I did save Malin's data, so that kind of costed me some Paragon points. Which it is possible to cure the genophage without Malin's data, just at the cost of Eve. But whatever. If anything, I could just kill Rex at Vermeer and then have his brother, and then sabotage the genophage, and then no one would be the wiser. Even though I do want that confrontation. Although there's no like Renegade points. It's just a Renegade confrontation. Anyways. So yeah, now we move on to Mass Effect 3, because other than that, there weren't that. Oh yeah, and I guess one more thing before I move on to Mass Effect 3. Legion was also a big issue with my Paragon stuff. Because of the fact that oh my god, from a distance I look like my eyes are closed. Because I wasn't really decisive on the whole Geth and Quarian piece. I was like, might as well. I already have this much Paragon. Give me 15 Paragon to save Legion, or to activate Legion. But yeah, maybe my only thought is that maybe if I didn't have as many Paragon points in Mass Effect 1, that I could have eased up on some of these, such as activating Legion, and saving Samara, even though that's a huge boost in Paragon. So probably not, but whatever, you know. And then we move on to Mass Effect 3, where my first issue was romancing Liara. Now, that was my plan from the beginning, was romancing Liara, because I wanted to get used to Renegades, so I figured I'd go back to basics and just romance Liara, since I'm not really constricted by anything. Even though I could have romanced Jacob and kept on with my list of romances to go through, but I wasn't comfortable enough with Renegade, so I wouldn't be comfortable trying to romance Jacob in the first place. Because apparently you have to flirt with him, and I don't know how to do that. I've only done it once, well, not with Jacob, but I've talked to like Miranda like all the 4 times that you could. So there's that. And I can't remember like what happened, but it just happened. And we learn later that you can just talk to her twice, and then you get the romance. You're able to romance her. You don't need to like talk to her 2 more times. Wish I had known that sooner, but here we are. So I'm not sure if Jacob's the same way. Plus, I think that just gives me like Paragon points, and I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, so moving on to Mass Effect 3 was when the Renegades started to really show. For example, since I saved Ashley at Vermeer, which was the first mistake, but it kind of paid off in the end, I had to be an asshole to her on Mars, which was fine, because I hate Ashley anyways. If there's anyone I'm going to be an asshole to and disregard feelings truly, it is Ashley. Because I have a bias against her in Mass Effect 1, and Mass Effect 3, she's a bit more annoying to me. Even though she's taking more of a liking to aliens, still. So yeah, disregard Ashley's feelings, don't disregard Liara's. There was two people whose feelings I wasn't going to disregard, which was Liara's and Miranda's, because I'll talk about it in a moment, but, well, not because, just because I like Miranda, but I'll talk about Miranda in a moment because I got some stuff to say about that. So yeah, so I was very nice to Liara, which was a big issue because that kind of boosted my Paragon a lot more than Renegade, so usually my goal was to try and get like some Paragon and some Renegade, but I ended those conversations with Liara with like 0 Renegade and more Paragon, so that was my first issue. Maybe if I got comfortable with figuring out all this stuff, and managing all this stuff, then maybe I could have been nicer to Liara or whatnot, but especially considering the fact that she's not Renegade ever, she's more Paragon. Well, if you make Ashley Paragon, but that's a different story entirely. Yeah, so that was my first issue, was at Mars. I romanced Liara, which means I wanted all the like nice little dialogues. And the whole time I was just thinking like, your girlfriend's an asshole, yes, she's nice to you. That seems like a weird thing that seems like a weird thing. Can you imagine that if like confrontations happen in real, like something like that happen actually in the game? It's like, man, your girlfriend's an asshole. It's like, I know, but she's nice to me, so suck it. No. Something like that would have been funny, but doesn't happen. Another issue so here are a couple of issues I had with the Renegade option in Mass Effect 3. First of all, Grissom Academy. You get Renegade points if you allow, if you disregard Jack's advice, and make them, what's that? I forgot what they're called. Artillery. Biotic artillery. If you don't make the kids biotic artillery, let me back up. If you don't make the kids support, then you get Renegade points. If you make them support, then you're more Paragon. Which was my first issue that I had with that, because why the hell should it matter? But you do get more war assets, so I guess it paid off in the end, even though they die at the end of the game. And I'm not saying spoiler alert, because this game came out years ago. The game is almost 10 years old. Shut up. I think next year it will be 10 years old. Anyways. Another, and I'll just jump into it just in case I forget. Saving Miranda. Why is that Paragon or Renegade? It makes no damn sense. A lot of these other confrontations, such as meeting Jack for the first time, doesn't really garner a huge amount of like Renegade and whatnot. But actually they do. But meeting up with like Steve or Liara, there's no like Renegade options for those. Just only with like Miranda and Jack. Not so much for Tali per se. So why is it that Jack and Miranda are the only two ones that give you Paragon or Renegade? I don't think Jack gives you Renegade or Paragon points. Just points, reputation points. But I kind of get it, but I don't like it. If you don't help out Miranda or you go the more Renegade route, then she dies. But like, why is that a thing in the first place? Like, you don't know no one knows what's gonna happen. So if you disregard Miranda's advice and you just go full Renegade, you get 2 Renegade points. Shit's gonna be suspicious, even though you get 2 points per each different dialogue options. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, so you end up with 4 or 2 of each, depending on how you look at it. Ending that, I probably should have done 2 and 2. Give Miranda access to Alliance resources. It's just tell her I'm not a puppet. But it's too late for that now. Well, it's not too late. I can go back and play again. And kind of, like I mentioned before, but I'll talk about this more. well, no, I already talked about it. Samara at the R.Yakshi Monastery. If anything, I probably should. Because I also got confused with how the morality bar, the reputation bar works. I thought it would have been like Paragon, where the more Paragon you have, then the Renegade bar is on the bottom. So I figured that would have been the same with Renegade, where if you have more Renegade, then the Paragon bar would be underneath. For me, it wasn't that. That wasn't the case. So I ended up with, even though I had more, in case some of you guys are wondering, I finished the game with a lot more Paragon than planned, but I did have Renegade. I did not have a full bar of Paragon, but my reputation, my Renegade reputation was 4 bars and a quarter, which means that a quarter, the like 75% of my bar, or of the fifth bar was just Paragon, which isn't bad. But my shepherd looked tired throughout the rest of the game, which was fine. I found it funny, but I just wish I had the glowing eyes, cause shit sucks. Let me tell you. Yeah, this one didn't really mess me up aside from Liara and Miranda. Although Miranda is a bit acceptable because you get 4 Paragon. That clock is bothering the shit out of me. But yeah, so a lot of the sort of Renegade options kind of stood out. For example, if you're a Paragon and you talk to Samantha about chess, she talks to Smith, or Shepard can talk about how they should play a game together, and whatnot. But if you're a Renegade Shepard, Shepard talks about how it's not as fun without grenades and whatnot. So kind of just scaring her and whatnot, and kind of being a bit more intense and whatnot. So that stuff really stood out, and that's something I really liked about that, was because I'm so used to like all the Paragon stuff that just going through, and hearing all the different dialogues, the unique dialogues you get, was pretty fun. And yeah, and the Citadel DLC really helped me, just because since I mentioned before, I romanced Liara, which means that the Citadel DLC is a bit loose on, or a bit strict on what to give Paragon and Renegade, so I kind of did the whole romantic thing with Liara, and I got no Paragon points. I did get reputation points, but at that point, it didn't really matter, because, well, my bar was already pretty full. So there's that. I can't really remember if anything else bothered me. Yeah, I did cure the genophage. That was a thing. So that messed me up in that aspect. But other than that, pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah. So I really enjoyed doing the Renegade playthrough. So more likely I will probably do that maybe once I'm done here and I get some fucking breakfast, because I haven't the only time I left my room today was to make these videos. And yeah, so with that, sorry. I could pause it, but I'm too lazy to right now. Anyways, I'm gonna end this episode here. I'm gonna end this video here. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Leave a comment down below if you play Mass Effect and you did the opposite of what you used to. So if you're used to Renegade, if you did Paragon, if you did, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Or let me back up here. If you did do the opposite of what you usually do, let me know what you thought. First, tell me what you usually do, and then tell me what you did. And then tell me how your first time went. I'd love to hear that, because it'd be glad to see I'm not the only one. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be notified as to when I upload, because I do not have a schedule. I know a lot of these famous YouTubers have schedules, so they upload like twice a day, except on a Wednesday where they upload once because it's the middle of the week. I don't do that. I just upload when I have a chance to, because in fact I'm barely home alone. And yeah, if you do want to help out this channel and support it even more, you can share these videos or show this channel to some of your friends. If you want to, you don't have to, but I would really appreciate it if you did. And Lose a Manic out.